this normally is the night that Bill and I do Tittle Tattle, which is a media analysis show, a weekly media analysis show that we do for supporters only on ROKFIN and Locals and Patreon. So if you would like to have access to that, you could go over to ROKFIN, Locals, or Patreon, become a supporter, and you're going to get exclusive content once a week with Bill and I talking about the latest media debacles. So one thing we talked about in our recent Tittle Tattle, Bill, was that in Canada, the media was regularly, and you know what, I can even pull that up since we're waiting for Michael, that clip of all of the news stations pushed together calling the truckers in Canada insurrectionists, which it has become clear that there is a concerted effort, I think, to tie the January 6th event to the trucker convoy in Canada. And then now, I don't know, I guess we're going to see what happens in this particular case. But why don't we talk about that for a quick second? What do you think's up with that?
It's interesting how a lot of the media is not only what we've seen so far with the Ottawa and the Freedom Convoy up there, but how they're framing this already. I'm not going to go so far as to say, I have not seen any, but they're going so far as to just a little bit short of calling this another January 6th incident on its way cross country. That I haven't seen anybody say that yet, but it's not looking very favorable when it comes to the lamestream media and how they're portraying this particular convoy. I'm hoping we get Michael back because I got a couple of questions I can't wait to ask him.
Well, why don't we, while we're waiting for him, let's set the scene with what we were just talking about. And everybody can watch this little clip of the mainstream media talking about the Canadian trucker convoy as insurrectionists. And then we'll discuss, and hopefully Michael will be back by then. And Bill, let me know if you can't hear this, okay? Let me know in the chat if you can't hear it.
Sedition, insurrection, a threat to democracy.
This city is under siege. They are now calling it an occupation.
Alarming situation there in Ottawa.
The police chief is calling it a nationwide insurrection driven by madness.
This is kind of our insurrection by air horn moment. I think it's part of the globalization of Trumpism.
Canadians know where I stand.
There hasn't been as much violence as some had perhaps projected, but that does not necessarily mean that it has been peaceful.
Reports of severe vandalism and criminal behavior.
Streets are clogged. The honking is incessant and deafening.
This pandemic has sucked for all Canadians.
Residents that I have spoken to who say they feel terrorized, intimidated. Residents say they feel like hostages. Residents in that area say that they are being held hostage, that this freedom convoy, as they call it, has essentially imposed a lockdown on them.
Some protesters harassed a soup kitchen.
These anti-vaxxers actually took food from the mouths of the homeless.
Hungry, yeah.
Because they're so put upon.
There have not been any violent outbursts. However, horns have been honking for 12 to 21 hours a night.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
Many of them are holding Confederate flags.
I've heard there's QAnon supporters in the crowd.
We've seen swastikas. We've seen the Confederate flag. We've seen flags with Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, in a noose. Lots of Donald Trump flags as well. People chanting, "Let's go, Brandon."
It is actually one of the rare times in history you're going to see swastikas and yellow stars at the same protest.
A few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are.
Ottawa is being besieged by a group of anti-do-anything-about-COVID truckers called the Freedom Convoy. A so-called Freedom Convoy.
So-called Freedom Convoy of truckers.
It's a cult.
Yes, it is.
We've heard it called a nationwide insurrection.
A threat to democracy, an insurrection, sedition.
This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with.
Just absolutely blown away every time I see that clip. Allie, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. Wow, what a live show this is turning out to be, huh, Bill? You just never know what it's going to be
This
like.
is what we live for, pal.
I swore I wasn't going to go live on YouTube ever again after they suspended me the last time, but I figured, you know what? I want to give the people a look at what's going on. And so I'm going to put aside my differences with YouTube for just today. Though I have to say, as a disclaimer, be aware that we are going to continue the full stream on ROKFIN live only, because when we get into the nitty-gritty of what people are thinking during this truck convoy, I want Michael to be able to speak without feeling like he's going to get spanked by mommy YouTube. So,
yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Plus, this is also just a teaser to show you the fantastic content that you can find only if you subscribe to the Allison Morrow channel on ROKFIN and Locals.
Yes. So let's see. Michael, can you hear us? Michael, can you hear us? Well,
okay. Real quick. Michael Yon, for those of you that don't know, a lot of you probably do know him, but for those of you that don't know, he is a former special ops soldier and operative, and he's turned writer and war correspondent, and he's back.
Aww. We're stretching, as they say in the industry.
Stretch!
So we're stretching.
Everything's on. I see the connections look like they should be on.
Okay, we can. Don't say anything dirty, because we definitely can hear you.
Guys, I don't know what to say.
Just talk.
You're
just
in
talk.
the show. It says
just talk.
Everyone
just
can
talk.
hear you.
Talk.
If you can hear me, hold up too. Okay, you can hear me. All right. I just can't hear you. I'll just tell you really quick where I'm at. I'm in the truck in the desert with Jeff, and we're on the trucker convoy. And I have no idea what you're saying, but I'll tell you what's going on. So we started off near Barstow, California. There's a big train out here. By the way, we just passed a train that was about a mile long with hundreds of military vehicles, armored vehicles, including M1 tanks and some Bradleys. They look like Bradleys. And even it looked like a couple of Strikers, which is strange because I don't think Strikers usually go in with that sort of equipment. Anyway, I'm not sure what it was. It was a little bit far away. But it was about a mile-long train of military equipment, but could be just going to a normal training area, such as, Taiwan. I have no idea. But anyway, so today we started off in Adelante, California, and the trucker convoy. This one is called People's Convoy. And the People's Convoy is one of many convoys that are starting. You're holding up something. Let me see if I can hear it. This is... Oh, how many trucks are in the convoy? Oh, I'm getting to that. Hold on. So we started off, yesterday was sort of a check-in, day zero yesterday. Today is day one when we actually start rolling. There was about 35 semi-trucks and about as many RV campers and hundreds of cars. So this is just the start point. Along the roads, since we took off about, say, 2 hours ago, there have been maybe 3, whatever time it is now. There have been thousands of people along the sides of the road and on the bridges, even out here in these desert little communities. I'm surprised at how many people there are. And highway patrol or law enforcement of various sorts have been waving at us and that sort of thing. And it's just a huge amount of support. Now, keep in mind, I've been in these things all over the world in various ways. Often they're marches. And usually they start off small. And then they grow as tributaries come together, right? And I think the big influx for these will be in Memphis and Indiana as well, Indianapolis, right? That's where Indianapolis in particular is where the Mississippi should form if it's really that huge. But judging on these little desert communities that we're going through, and there's still so many people out waving flags and that sort of thing, I suspect this is going to be massive. Now, the mood is quite high. This is a peaceful convoy. This is not going to be any violence. Nobody's around here talking about, overrunning the Capitol or something like that. Some groups may go into the Capitol. Some others will not. It's everybody's choice. And so, again, there's no central leadership. There's nobody that you can talk to that'll say, here's what's going on with the truckers. It's not like that. There's no Pentagon of the truckers. It's a 1,000 little tributaries out there. And so, again, I'm with, let me see, read your question here.
Just so everyone knows, Michael can't hear us, so we're
reports
having
of big
right
tech
question.
censorship regarding Convoy. Yes. For instance, as soon as I mentioned that I was going on the Convoy, MailChimp, knocked me off. And I've been doing business with MailChimp for years, right? And so it was quick. We just did a workaround in about 2 hours and started some new service. And then, of course, now you see there appears to be sort of an information campaign to discredit and, of course, we knew that was coming, and frighten away the truckers. You can see, for instance, somebody named Patrick Byrne published today on his locals the warning about, basically doesn't want anything to do with this and, basically run away, your hair's on fire type thing. But in reality, if you're just going to play that game, you're just a prisoner, right? You might as well just go back into lockup and be a good little kitten because your voices will not be heard if you don't go out and say something. I mean, that's why, look, Allison can't do her job anymore because not under the, under any large corporation, of course, because they've all been captured. And so, I can totally expect if you have any more questions, let's put them in writing. Otherwise, I would love to show you. Okay, I'll start with, here we go. Let's see, Allison's writing one. Why are people participating? Well, different reasons, but mostly people are tired of the lockdowns, and they're tired of their children being taught, that they're bad for being white or whatever. This is the common thing that you hear. The school boards have also been captured, and that's one of the things you don't see in a lot of the protests. There's not a lot of young people out there, right? And that's very concerning because most of the people standing up against this Leviathan are people our age, right? Or even older, right? And because a lot of us have been out, I spent a lot of time in communist countries, Poland, I lived there for 2 years, East Germany, of course, Czechoslovakia, Romania. I got kicked out of China, of course, or not really China, Hong Kong. That wasn't communist. Hong Kong was great. But I mean, I've been in China many times, spent a lot of time in China. And so I've been in many communist countries. Now, they're all bad. Every one of them is terrible. I was with the Maoists for about a year in Nepal as they were taking over Nepal. And what happened with, Nepal was already one of the poorest countries on earth. But when the Maoists finally won, it's even worse now, right? So communists managed to take one of the poorest countries in the world and make it even poorer. I mean, I don't even know how you do that. How can you make Nepal any poorer than it was? Well, they did it. And one of the ways they did it was just forcing people to speak their own local dialects, starting to teach regional dialects in school, teaching people to hate each other, just like we see in Thailand, where my office is. I was in Colombia last year with a senator named Maria Cabal. And Maria said, we were having lunch, and Maria said, why are they making everybody speak? This is Colombia, the country of Colombia. Why are they trying to make local people speak all their same local dialects? Why are they making them fight each other and fight us? And I said, Maria, they're doing that in America. They're doing it in Thailand. They're doing it in Japan. On Okinawa, Japan, they're trying to get people to speak an old dialect that almost nobody speaks anymore because they're trying to get Japanese or those on Okinawa to say, we're the original Japanese. They're trying to get the Ainu to say that as well. So they're putting their old dialect on their elevator buttons and on their ATM machines and that sort of thing. They're trying to force local government officials to speak old Okinawan dialect for government meetings. I was recently in Morocco with Chuck Holton, a war correspondent friend who's in Ukraine right now. But we were in Morocco last year tracking migrants, right? So we're looking at the road signs. Keep in mind, I spent more than half my life overseas in more than 80 countries. I don't think there's a written language that I haven't seen, right? So we're looking at these road signs in Morocco as we're driving down the road. There's a new language on the road signs. So there's Arabic and sometimes English, and then there's this new language. I said, Chuck, what language is this? I mean, and Chuck has been to even more countries than I have. He's been to like 100 countries. So between Chuck and I, we pretty much seen the entire planet, right? And neither one of us could identify the language. Now, I study information war. I published 3 books in Japanese on information war. And I said, I'll bet you that's information. That's an information campaign, Chuck. And so later on, checked on the at the hotel. And online, you can see there's these, it's Berber language, right? But Berber has never had a written language. Berber is a class of languages. It's not a single language, right? Like Latin, right? It's a class of languages. And so with the Berber, has never had any written language. So instead of using modified Arabic to make a written Berber language, they made this totally new alphabet that nobody knows the alphabet. And it looks like two computers talking to each other. Just looking at Berber alphabet now. It's all over the road signs. So I started asking Moroccans, like, do you speak Berber? And someone would say, oh, yes, I speak. Now it'd be like, do you know this alphabet? No, nobody knows this alphabet. Why are they putting this on the road signs? It's the same thing, splitting people apart. This is a big, I'll tell you, the best book on this subject is called Rape of the Mind, 1956 book. But let's stick to the Tucker Convoy if you wish. You can see people down the road here waving at us. We're out in the middle of the desert. You see this? Look at this. Out in the middle of the desert. Look at this. I mean, where are they even going to get water out here? They're going to have to wait until it rains again, which would be in like 4 years, you know? So, I mean, this is like, look at this. And look at this, up on the hill. Oh, man, I love these guys. They're Americans. This is great. I mean, there's so many people standing up that want to be heard. Here, I see a note coming in. Let's see.
Just a reminder, while Michael's reading that, go to AlisonMorrow.locals.com and submit questions ahead of time for interviews.
Coming to government trap. I can't read that second word, but the convoy is running into a government trap. Oh, yeah. Is there, for instance, is there any I think you're saying, is there any conversation of the convoy running into a government trap? Absolutely. I mean, after what we've seen, you know, in recent times, I don't think there's many Americans out here that have two brain cells to rub together that don't suspect the government would be up to something, right? So, I mean, you know, I used to really have big faith, for instance, in the FDA and that sort of thing. It's gone. And so, you know, we've seen, you know, the false flags and whatnot. Keep in mind, I'm a very experienced war correspondent, been in wars all over the world, been in hundreds of protests, many of them highly kinetic. So watching false flags for me is like a day at the office for most people. And watching AP's agent provocateurs is a day at the office. And these are common. You know, when I first was reporting that in early January of 2020, people are like, agent provocateurs, false flags, are you reading?
Uh-oh.
No, I want to live better life for the last 8 years. This is normal stuff that happens all over the world. You heard recently on the, you know, accusing our government accusing Ukraine of, Russia of, you know, using agent provocateurs and false flags, and, you know, in Ukraine, of course, this is normal. It's normal business. So, any questions you have, just pin them to the tree, to the thorn tree, and I will try to answer.
I know Michael.
I know
Michael can't hear us, but I think Allie has got a question coming for him here in just a second.
He's a great driver. He's an excellent driver.
Hi.
Just flash.
Thanks for driving, Michael.
Just flash
but
out.
Actually, not now. But here's a question from Allison. She's put it on the thorn tree. Are people prepared to get arrested? I don't know. Each one. I mean, I was arrested once at an airport in SeaTac for not. Anyway, it's all over the news. You can read what it's about. I mean, I'm prepared. So I can speak for myself. Yeah, I don't want to be arrested. I'm just here to write. I'm not here to storm the beaches or anything. I don't even have a gun. You know? All I have is these big meat hooks, you know, and I'm not going to use them. So I don't, you know, nobody's going to fight. This is very peaceful. Nobody wants to get arrested. I don't want to get arrested. I'm not one of those that sits in front of the embassy long enough to get arrested. Yeah. And but I think, you know, the very fact that you're out here doing this. These are all adults. These are working men and women, right? They work. They're not people who sit around and are looking at the internet all day. They live in these trucks, right? I mean, they know that this is a real risk. They know that false flags. For instance, there were rumors that Antifa was coming up in San Diego with like 150 Antifa or whatever in trucks, which is nonsense. How many Antifa do you know that can actually drive a truck? I mean, I wonder how many Antifa could drive a stick shift, for that matter, of any size. I mean, they're busy, you know, putting purple hair dye in their hair, you know. I mean, I've been out with Antifa a lot in Hong Kong and Portland and Pennsylvania and Atlanta and Washington, D.C. Those guys can't drive a truck. No, it's not going to happen. So, by the way, you must have seen the Antifa guy got shot the other day in Portland. Up to no good, of course. The maximum speed, by the way, that we're driving is 45. We're not going to get the convoy together, and there's a law enforcement got looks like a BMW or something. What was that? I don't even know. What was it? Chrysler 300. I don't know my cars. Forestry message coming in. Manual shifting is the new car theft deterrent. Actually, that's a good idea.
Real fast, hang on one second. Real fast. Thank you to Viva for sending his crowd over here. We just got to keep bumping people watching. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
Okay, I'll keep going. All right. Rolling. All right. So, yeah, I love this desert, man. I've driven across America many times. The only state I haven't been to is Alaska, and I'm dying to get up there. And I think I'll wait till springtime. But no, the truckers are really nice. I don't feel, the only time I felt a danger of causing any protest or anything in the United States is when I'm out with BLM or Antifa. In which case I expect to be killed at any moment. I mean, I saw, for instance, Antifa stab 2 people right in front of me in Washington, D.C. They were like, I don't know, 20 feet away or less. And that's normal for those guys. But with the truckers, I feel safe. Antifa works like that third. Oh, with the government. Antifa is what works with the government. Oh, that's a question. I think, this is a difficult question, as you can imagine. I watch your show a lot, so I know you think in, nuanced ways. What's the government? You know what I mean? I mean, there's some parts of the government that are clearly quite anti-Antifa, as are most people that want peace and happiness and want, their kids to be able to go to school in peace. But there are clearly other people in the government. Oh, CIA, let me tell you that. For all my CIA friends watching, of which there are many, I don't know if they're watching right now, but, let's face it. This is basic CIA 101 stuff. And there are a lot of people in CIA that are totally left-wing. I'm not saying they all are. When I say left-wing, I mean that really want to see the United States destroyed, right? I know one senior officer in CIA that really just would love to take me down. One day I might just reveal everything about it. It'll be a fun time. But the point is CIA, we have overthrown so many, not we, I'm not CIA, but the United States has overthrown so many countries around the world over the years. And all these things that you saw, like on January 6th, I was there on January 6th, by the way, and I didn't go inside because I sensed the trap. In Hong Kong, when the LegCo was breached, I did go inside. LegCo is Legislative Council. That's like their capital in Hong Kong. I did go inside of that one. It was quite risky because the tiny headquarters was next door, like 200 yards away, right? But at the U.S. Capitol, I sensed that was a trap of some sort, and obviously it's turned out to be. There were a lot of APs there, a lot of agent provocateurs. When I go up to a protest, I used to hunt alligators with my hands when I was a kid, right? And I know what to look for. I know their habits. I know the sounds they make. And I know the difference between an alligator and a turtle, right? And MAGA is like a turtle. Turtles don't chase you down and kill you, right? Turtles don't mess with you. They just kind of sit there and smile and wave and, But alligators, you can get bitten, right? And when I was at the Capitol event on January 6th, I saw a lot of people. Most of the MAGA are older. You can spot them in an instant, like an alligator, right? The MAGA they weren't causing problems. There were Antifa there. And the younger people, and many of them were younger, not all of them, but many of them were younger. And they had megaphones. They were like, follow me, come on, do your duty. We have to go and take this place, right? And I'm like, uh-oh, film every one of those, photograph every one of those. Those are agent provocateurs. And they were working in cells. Many of them were working in cells. You could see them, a line of people with the megaphones, right? They had recognition symbols like yellow tape on their hat or whatever. And so, yeah. Am I watching for that here? Absolutely. Are they going to infiltrate as truckers? I doubt it. We're on a nice hill here. You can see the trucks in front of us, but most of them are behind us, actually. But yeah,
And
you can
while
see it's a
Michael's
beautiful
showing us,
desert
just
out
a
here.
reminder to everybody, he
But,
can't hear us. That's
Yeah,
why we're
I mean,
putting up the
the
question.
fact is, something is almost bound to happen. Thorn tree. Am I a Russian asset? Nope. In fact, Russian TV reached out to me again a couple of weeks ago on Ukraine issue, obviously. I think it was Ukraine. And, I continue the message that I sent to him. You know, and I said, you know, something like, you know, I'm your historical enemy. I am the American that you have to fear, right? It's like, I mean, at the same time, I don't want to fight. Is there any Russian that you know of that you want to shoot? I can think of a lot of Al-Qaeda I'd like to shoot, but I mean, I don't know a single Russian that I would like to do harm to. I don't even know why we're at war together. Am I a Russian asset for saying that? No, I think it's kind of common sense. We're still launching stuff together on the International Space Station. This is the weird world we live in. We got astronauts and cosmonauts up in space together. We use their launch vehicles until SpaceX and Boeing and anybody else can take over. And yet we're, you know, looking toe-to-toe World War III in Ukraine right now. And as you know, I was in Lithuania last year, right, tracking migrants. We knew that migrants were being pushed from Belarus into Lithuania, and they were trying to push them into Poland. So I left Morocco, I left Africa, and flew straight to Lithuania. You know, I was with the Lithuanian army in Afghanistan, and I kept my contacts. So I just spent about 3 weeks with them last year, watching as Belarus and Russia were pushing migrants, trying to push them into Lithuania and Poland. And so I started publishing this. I don't know if I said it on your show, Alex, and I said it on numerous, like the John Batchelor show and with Bannon and all the rest. That this was a clear probe from Russia, checking defenses for starters, and also preparing in case of war, which they may have started off in the Zapad, the annual Zapad exercises, but they didn't this year. They may weaponize those migrants. This is a common tactic in war. In war, you'll just flood a place with migrants or prisoners, that sort of thing, right? And so that's what we're seeing. So last year, I was over in Lithuania warning, hey, we're getting signals here. Something's wrong. Russia and Belarus are up to something. Obviously, Belarus, Lukashenko, the dictator there, is a Putin's puppet, right? But am I a Russian asset? Well, for all the bad things I've done to Russia, probably not. But at the same time, I can't think of any Russians I want to hurt. I can certainly think of some Antifa that would love to kill all of us. Let's see. BLM Antifa, I'm reading the thorn tree here. BLM Antifa protest in the streets, the convoy, and other protests and went straight to the government. Why do you think this is? Good question. Actually, that's a kind of a basic and a very good question, and it's simple. Well, BLM and Antifa are agent provocateur organizations, right? That much is clear. I've told a lot of BLM and Antifa too. I said, listen, you're just little puppets. You feel strong right now because your master is pumping you money. Like when I've been up in Portland and they get arrested tonight, when the BLM, I call them Blamtifa, BLM and Antifa, they're kind of a fusion at some point. When they're getting arrested and they're getting released, I think they were getting, $300, and they would get bailed out and that sort of thing. I would tell them, I'm like, one day when the Democrats or whoever's in charge of you is tired of you, if you keep burning stuff, they are going to kill you because that's how they operate. You are nothing to them and you're not strong. You're just given a lot of room to play because nobody's messing with you. But the moment that switch gets flipped, you'll be running for your life. And they all know who you are. They all know where you live. Everybody who's got a phone, all of your metadata, everybody knows I'm in the truck here with Jeff because our phones are together, right? I mean, anytime that you meet somebody and your phones are beside each other, guess what? That's called co-location. Everywhere you walk, you're leaving a little. If you go bury gold in the desert and you take your phone with you, guess what? That's how we find weapon caches in Afghanistan and Iraq, because people would go bury weapons and take their phone with them, and then we would put a drone over it and wait until they came back and kill them, right? I mean, this was normal business, right? And so these Antifa and these other people that think that they're big and powerful, they're in for a big wake up. Go ahead. And by the way, private companies have that information too, not just the government. Our truckers owner operators or employed? It's hard to read. Are they kind of trying for food, cars, etc.? I'm sorry, it's hard to read a little bit. But are the truck? I'm going to go for the first part. Are truckers owner operators? Actually, let's ask Jeff. Actually, can you put this in your ear? All right. I can't hear them, but they can hear you if you talk.
Oh, can you hear us?
They're asking if the truckers are owner operators.
Yeah.
So Jeff's a company driver. Can you hear him?
Yes.
Two fingers up. Okay, good. Because I'm not sure if the microphone's in his ear or mine. Let me see. Let me read this. Risking job. Are you risking your job? I love your boss, man. Is he your boss? I heard you. Okay, great. I mean, well, as you just heard it, I know some of them are independent and others work for companies, like Jeff does.
I would say there's probably more owner operators in this than there is company drivers. There's a mix of both.
Any more questions? Let's see. Risking job. Will this affect shortages? She's asking. Allison is asking. You're risking your job. Will this affect shortages?
Sure. If you get enough truckers on this, yeah.
His mic is a little low. Hang on, I'm gonna let Michael know. Bill, can you hold up a sign that says repeat what he's saying so when he comes back I can...
Okay. Another question. This mic is too low. Or your mic is too low. Here, here. All right. All right, no problem.
Yeah.
It might be because the mic's in my other ear.
What he's doing.
Oh, repeat. Okay. Jeff was saying that if there could certainly be shortage if enough truckers strike. So it's not just about who's on this convoy, but who sits home. Or, and of course that can be significant. We already have supply chain problems with the trains, with the ships. We're out in the middle of the desert. I hope they got water. We might end up having to rescue somebody. I don't know how it's funny that people are sitting this far out in the desert waving at us because I don't think there's any towns anywhere nearby. Yeah, and so, I think I've been telling people since January of 2020, so more than 2 years now, stock up on food, stock up on things that you need, because there's something called PAN for war, pandemic, famine, war, right? PAN for war is pandemic, famine, war. If you get a big pandemic, you'll always get famine and war. If you get a big famine, you'll get war and pandemic. If you get a big war, you'll always get pandemics and famines. It's a triangle of death. And so when we had this starting off in January of 2020, I started warning people at least 1,000 times, including on your show, that stock up. And because if you don't, you're going to end up paying the price for it. If nothing else, the prices are going way up. As I said many times, in the worst case scenario, we run out of food. In a best case scenario, we're just going to see a very high, significant price increase, right? Obviously, when it comes to famine, we've never had a global famine before. They've always been local, right? They've always been like a famine in China, which could kill tens of millions of people. It was local to China. There's always enough food. The problem is the food's not always where the people are, right? And for instance, whether it's Somalia, Bangladesh, or all these famines in the past, there's usually multiple things that happen simultaneously. It's not usually just a drought or locust or fungus in the potatoes or something like that. Almost in every case, there is human intervention. For instance, the potato famine in Ireland, which they still have not recovered from, it wasn't just about potatoes. It was about the English not allowing them to get food shipments, for instance, from the United States. Americans were sent to, and also that Irish, the black, the potato problem from the fertilizer from guano, that also affected Netherlands. It affected the Dutch. It affected the French. It affected Germans and English. but none of them starved to death because there weren't people that were interrupting their food supply, right? But what we have now is intentional interdiction of supply routes. And, for instance, the shipping, we see inputs increasing in price, like fertilizer, glyphosate, of course, that's a happy sign for some people, but the bugs are going to eat a lot of food that they were going to eat this year. And obviously, energy prices are going through the roof. This thing with Ukraine is not helping that, of course. All the inputs are increasing. So at bare minimum, all these people passing away. At a bare minimum, your prices are going to continue to skyrocket. And so now with the trucker convoy, obviously this can affect the store shelves even more. Should they or should they not do it? Well, if you want to change everything, you got to make your voice heard. And so how do the truckers feel? I mean, this is a Thorntry message. I'm reading it. How do the truckers feel about the vaccines? We are not exclusively on ROKFIN.
We're going over to ROKFIN, everybody. Thanks for watching on YouTube. We can't talk about anything controversial on YouTube, so go to ROKFIN. The link's in the chat. Great talking with you all. Thank you, Viva, for sending your buddies here.